Hey there and welcome. I'm Bree and I go by Tip of the Moon. And today's session I was going to do something a little different. I have my tarot deck in this lovely box, and I thought we would pull some cards about what energy maybe you are needing at this moment or needing to pay attention to, and then we'll do some energy work around that. I'm going to flip the camera around so that you can see me shuffling and doing all of those things, and then you can use the timestamps at the bottom to flip to your reading or listen to all the readings, whatever feels best for you. Okay. So I wanted to do the card portion of this video and this view just so that you can better see as I'm dealing out the cards and I don't have to hold them up. So I will switch it back once I start the energy work, but I have my tarot deck in here and I've laid out a few crystals for us to start to see if we align with. This is Optical Calcite, clear, see-through, and kind of cube-like. This is a tumbled rose quartz, which is very soft and smooth. And this is a piece of Tektite, which has got kind of a rough exterior and in a bit of a teardrop shape. You can see that. And so while I am working with the cards, you can start to see which one of these stones maybe you resonate with, and there'll be timestamps so that you can switch to the energy work for your reading. But for now, I'm going to shuffle and deal out these cards. And I usually keep this deck in this box because it just feels fancy and special. And this is the Usui Pagan Otherworlds deck. And it's kind of my favorite. It's a little, I would say, large for my hands, but the way the cards shuffle is quite nice. Just giving them a quick little shuffle, and then I like to draw cards by laying them all out and then kind of feeling along to the one that feels, I don't know, resonant for that space. So I'm going to start with our Optical Calcite. And just feeling for which card has that potency to it. There's a message we need to hear. I'm going to do 3 for each. So one, the first card for the rose quartz. The first card for the Tektite. And we're looking at each of those stones, perhaps seeing if you feel a sensation or get a sudden feeling, or the first one that stands out to you. Whatever way that you seem to resonate with one of the piles is good. The second card. Here. And the second card. Here. Second card. Third card. And we're just looking to see kind of the energy as it moves for us, what things we should maybe be aware of, what stories or energies do we need to hear? Third card. Okay. So I'm going to put the rest of these cards away. I'm just going to give you a moment to perhaps tap into which one of these piles is feeling resonant for you. Is it the Optical Calcite, the Rose Quartz, or the Tektite? So pile 1, 2, or 3. And there'll be timestamps in the description box below or below your video so you can go to the right one. But I am going to switch the camera around and we'll talk about each pile in turn and do a little bit of energy work. Awesome. So for the first reading, we have the Optical Calcite. This is for you if you chose this pile. And the cards that we got, I don't read reversals, so I'm going to switch these around if any are. We're just going to go with the straight upright card. So the first card is the Three of Wands, and you can kind of see this is up on a hill, kind of looking out over the water. It is a card about the work of gaining perspective. I'm just going to go through all three and then we'll talk as we do energy work. And the next card is the Nine of Coins or Nine of Pentacles, and you can see they're all growing in this nice beautiful pattern on a grapevine. It is a card about intuition and our genius of knowing when things are ripe and ready to be plucked. And then the last card, one of my favorites, is the Magician. And you can see the Magician is in this very active state of picking up the wand. He's charging kind of forward, making his gestures to as above, so below, and that their will can lead them forward. So a very potent card. And so for these three cards in a row, our story is really about tapping into or putting our energy towards gaining perspective, knowing when the fruits of our labor are right, and knowing when to use our willpower. So it's a lot about kind of looking at the bigger picture of things, kind of stepping back and knowing when to act. And I love that this came with the Optical Calcite because I think a lot of this is about finding that sort of clarity to see things from all their sort of shifting sides is where we should be putting our energy at the moment. That perspective and that knowledge and knowing our crops and our will. So kind of finding and stepping back towards that clarity. And so I'm going to use this crystal and just sort of working and thinking about the ways that we can gain clarity and perspective on our issues. So using this Optical Calcite to pull in that clarity. To release any of the things standing in our way of seeing that big picture, of understanding clearly what the fruits of our labor are, and when is it time to pick up the wand and sort of act, use our will, not just let things wash over us, but being very intentional about where we move, when we move, and why we move. And by move, I mean making choices, making decisions. And especially when we're talking about that Nine of Pentacles, we are so close, we can kind of feel it. The energy is it's ripening. It is getting closer. And we are allowing and trusting our knowledge, our perspective, to know when to act, when to find our will and use it. And so perhaps as we're working through with this energy, thinking about clarity and perspective, and when you're thinking about that, clarity and perspective, thinking through the things that come to mind. Like, I don't feel like this is something you're going to have to dig for. I feel like you maybe already knew what you're looking to get perspective on, what you're looking to ripen a little bit longer, just a teeny bit. You're close. And optical calcite is one of those interesting stones. It's believed that the Vikings used optical calcite as their sunstone. It would help them magnify the sunlight when it was cloudy to see which direction they were heading. It sort of acted as a magnifier so that they could see, even when it was cloudy, which direction they should go, almost kind of like a compass. And so finding that clarity, even when things are cloudy, allowing ourselves to find that sunbeam, find that direction, and then thinking of the magician at the bow saying, "This way. I know it has to be right." So using knowledge and clarity and perspective before we move forward. I'm just removing a few things that may be standing in your way. Allowing some of that to clear. that was Optical Calcite, and your cards were the Three of Wands, the Nine of Coins or Pentacles, and the Magician. And for our next pile, we have a piece of rose quartz, which is very tumbled, very smooth, and it is also quite a light pink color. It's almost clear, and I like it for just its softness. It feels like a really kind of dreamy, soft piece of rose quartz. And then for your cards, the first card we have is the Six of Cups. And this is a card very much about nostalgia and childhood dreams and these beautiful little things that we grew during our younger experiences. And the next card is the Fool, which is very much about innocence. They are always looking to the horizon, always have their heart uplifted, ready to carry on, no matter how much the world maybe has hurt them. There's an innocence and a continuing forward with childlike delight. And then the last card is the Empress. And the Empress is very loving. She is fertile and intuitive, in touch with the emotions, but she's also disciplined. She has sat on the throne, and her love is not just her own anymore, but those that she cares for, and she must maintain that kind of disciplined position. And I love how those stones are working out with the piles. So I'm going to continue working with rose quartz. This feels like it really resonates with those three. And what I see in the progression of those cards is making sure that we hold on to those childhood dreams. Despite all that maybe happened along the way, we probably are not quite as innocent or fool-like as we were, but they are the key to our gentle rule. That nostalgia, those childhood dreams and experiences help to make who we are. And so if we get rid of them, all in the name of ruling over our adult emotions, we lose the important part of ourselves. And so it is about finding that balance that we see in the Empress card, and where gentleness wins the day. You can both be strong and soft. The Empress is the third card, and it is a progression from the Emperor. It is not just ruling for ruler's sake, it is ruling with a gentle heart, because ruling with a gentle heart benefits everyone. We can go farther, we can accomplish more if we are open and honest and vulnerable again and again, just like that Fool card. No matter how many times the Fool gets their heart hurt, they are still optimistic and innocent, and there's the carrying forward of that innocence. And so asking us to tap into the dreams that we have in our hearts, in our childhood, and bring them forward. Bring them into our modern adult lives. Which doesn't mean you don't see, it's not the Fool coming after the Empress, it is the Empress coming after the Fool. So we can see that as the Fool sitting down in the chair, ready to take up discipline and responsibility with a gentle heart. So being kind to ourselves and others is the way through. using this rose quartz to sort of awaken that beauty within. Awaken that softness, that healing, so that we may share it, we may allow it to shine out to everyone. And I assume that none of you are actually sitting on a throne. If you are, send me an email. Let's hang out. But when I talk about rule, I talk about the way that we oversee our lives. Not that you have to have subordinates or children or underlings at work or something like that. But we are very much in charge and sitting on the throne of our lives. And so as we do that, as we make decisions and choices for ourselves, to do that with gentleness, to keep and allow our innocence to bloom. As you may be thinking about how these cards might resonate, perhaps thinking back to childhood dreams, happy memories, things that brought you joy then, most likely would bring you joy now. So there's an aspect of this inner child healing, an aspect of tapping into those things that enlivened us when we were foolish and innocent, and how we can carry them forward. Inner child healing can be so much of just silly stuff sometimes. It can be allowing ourselves to enjoy a movie that we enjoyed a lot as a child, and you can kind of start to see, what was it that resonated with me? What were these stories that I couldn't get enough of? What was my heart longing for? It can be moving our body in joyful ways, dancing, skipping, sprawling out on the floor, reading books, or playing with stickers. Each of us probably had a very particular interest, something curious and strange about us that we just couldn't help. So asking you to tap into those types of energies. Perfect. So that was some rose quartz, nice and tumbled. And your cards, in case you'd like to know, were the Six of Cups, the Fool, and the Empress. the last one is Tektite, and here are your cards. We have the Two of Coins, or Two of Pentacles, is very much about that balance. You can kind of see the vines growing in that figure 8 capability. It's about taking energy, kind of, we got two coins to rub together. If you can find that balance of expansion and growth. And the second card is the Two of Swords, which is a much sharper card when it comes to talking about having two things. This is one about choices. We can only hold one sword, we can only follow one path, and so it's about making that decision between two options. And the last card is Temperance, which is really interesting. There's a lot of this duality and balance. Temperance is a card about kind of putting the work in to balance things out. You can see she's pouring water from one cup to another and trying to find that middle point in which the two are balanced. And you can see that she herself is an angel, and so this act of balancing, this act of tempering things is divine work. Even though it seems very mundane, 2 cups and figuring out which one has the right amount of water, balancing those is a very divine act. And we are going to use this Tektite as we talk about the 3 cards and their energy. I think that very much the story here is about finding balance in our decisions, finding balance in our inner and outer worlds. Tektite is a stone of transformation. It is what happens when something from far away, the space, hits our earth, and it creates this sort of glass. It's almost like a stony glass. And it's talking about that transformation and balancing work. That happens when the outside world comes in. So we're looking at the Two of Coins. It's a lot about that connectivity and how it opens up roads, allowing us to expand. And the Two of Swords is very much about us having to narrow that path down and make choices along the way. And to not really beat ourselves up too much, I think is what Temperance is also telling us. That this work of balancing and choosing and only experiencing one thing at a time is very much the work of life. It is that transformational work of continuing to bring things down to a single path, balancing out the weight of our decisions, both energetically and mentally. We will be asked to choose paths. We will be asked to find balance. And that's the way of it. And to also take that seriously. When we talk about that's the way of it, that doesn't mean to diminish that act of making a choice or that act of distilling things down. As we saw with the angel in Temperance, this is a divine act. To make choices, to choose one road over another, is what defines our life. And to take it seriously, but not to beat yourself up about it. It is something that must be done, and it is important, but we're going to get some of those wrong. And so it's coming back to that balance, coming back to those choices, finding that continuality. . And all three of those cards were very much about two and that balance of choosing and then being okay with our choices, making decisions, reflecting on decisions, coming back. And so it's almost like this breath of balance is always a constant give and take, like a breath in and out, refining, moving, etc. So asking our energy to find wholeness, asking our energy to feel okay and balanced inside and out. And sometimes the Two of Swords can be this kind of strange feeling where we may make a choice and we move forward with that one sword, but we're constantly longing for the one we left behind, considering that that might be a better one, but really the sword in hand is the one we need. And so honoring that choice that we made, moving forward with it, with dignity and balance, and honoring that divine process. It will never be easy, but it must be done. Beautiful. Hoping that that helped a little bit in balancing things out and also just strengthening you and your resolve in your decisions. Not to beat yourself up so much. Sometimes some of us do that before the decision, some of us do it afterwards, but either place, letting go of that part of it, and releasing that idea, because the choice must be made. And we do our best, and that's all you can ask. So that was a little piece of Tektite, which is kind of hard to see with my black shirt and darker background, but it is a bit scratchy, kind of like glass texture, a little bit like scratchy glass. Okay. I just want to thank you so much for joining me with this. It was a fun little something. I haven't done one of those in a while, but felt like it was needed. We have a lot of changes and a lot of things coming up, and I thought maybe we could tap into what your intuition is telling you and what energy you're needing at the moment. So, hope you found this fun and helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much.